Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today is one of those sort of topic agnostic ones in as much as it's the message you most need to hear. So it could be on any aspect of your life, relational, spiritual, material, some combination of many different aspects. So it really doesn't need a lot of introduction beyond that this is the message that Spirit most wants to bring you. You can, of course, go to more than one reading if you feel that there's more than one message. But to help with the choice and also to help with the concept or the theme that this message might be around, I use 3 different tarot decks, so one per pile, and I shuffled and asked for the Major Arcana card that might best represent part of the theme of whatever the message is about. Before we go into that and then into the readings, just want to remind people that I do private readings. So if you are interested, you can get them via my Etsy store. The details are in the description box below and also on my About page for this channel. That's the only place that you can get it and the only way that you can get private readings for me. I do know that there are people who impersonate YouTube tarot readers and pretend to be them and go and tell people, oh, I've got a reading for you, I've got a message for you. I'm never going to do that. So if anybody ever comes and does that and says they're me, they're not. So that's a bit of a public service announcement just in case you need to know about that. To protect you from scammers. But if you are interested in a reading from me, as I say, you can come to my Etsy store. Okay, just every once in a while I want to say that, both to protect this wonderful collective from scam artists, but also to let you know that's available if you're interested, but no pressure. It's only if you're interested. So, okay, to the pile choice. For pile number 1, we have the Nightshade Tarot with the World card. For pile number 2, we have the Violet Dreams Tarot with the Judgment card. And for pile number 3, we have the Melancholic Muse Tarot with the Justice card. So that may help you choose, but you do you in whatever way you do. And when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you came to the reading with the World card. And this particular deck, the Nightshade Tarot, to me is very nature oriented. And in fact, I'm using in all the readings its accompanying oracle, the Nightshade Oracle, to give us a little bit more information about the message. But I do think being drawn to this deck does show that there's something very much that is material, natural, that kind of connection. It could be a spiritual connection to the material and natural world. It could be becoming more in tune with your own nature. It could be a very health related thing or something in that area. Whatever it is though for you with the world, that suggests that this is the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. The world is the last card in the Major Arcana. So it's sort of like it shows the closing out of a chapter and the fulfillment of something. And then you have the new energy coming in. And it's interesting because I think for you, this energy is, or this completion is in something that's a little bit tricky and you have to be very careful about the next step. So I think that's what this message is going to be about. Because when we look at what's accompanying it, we have the tulip that talks about elegance and renewal. So something new is coming, like you have the end of a cycle, the harvest, something new is coming through and there's an elegance to it. That tells me there's a protocol, there's a way that things are done, the way that things are seen about whatever this message is. And it talks about embracing the beauty of the present moment. So there's partly an energy of you've achieved something, you could have graduated, you could have got a promotion, you could have fallen in love, you could have started a family. Could be any number of things that finishes one cycle to bring the next. And there is the next cycle, and there is certainly enjoy the moment and understand it is your right to celebrate. But then the new starting when we have Foxglove says mystery and duality, tread carefully between danger and healing. That suggests to me that there is something in what you've achieved that did have a healing quality or that made you understand yourself or a situation better. But it is a tricky situation. So it would be like if you were just, to give an example, if you had just been promoted, enjoy the promotion, but understand that now you're in a more complex job. There could be people that are very happy for you. There could also be people that are jealous of you. So there's something here that's saying to me, there's a true achievement. There's a true celebration of that achievement. It is something that you did, and you did it in a very appropriate way. Like you either followed the rules or you did it very fairly. Like there's an elegance, there's a purity to what you did. But Now, whatever you're going to sort of start the new cycle with is more complex. It's more tricky. So it's like celebrate the win, and then the day after that there is whatever that means in terms of your next step. So I think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about probably partly how you got this achievement and not forgetting that, and knowing that you have a system with that elegance, and within the celebration with the renewal is the seeds of what you can take forward. But understanding, as I say, it's a more complex environment. So that's what we're going to be looking at for you. So I think Spirit wants you to know, congratulations, that's wonderful. Now understand stepping up means in whatever this is. And like, so if it was, falling in love, for instance, yes, you found your soul twin, you found your soulmate or whatever. Now you're in the really, really interesting bit where it's like we've committed, and what does that mean? And relationships can be hard work. So it just depends on what it is. But I feel for some of you, there's almost like being in a more politically sensitive, whether that's small p politics in an office or, like more social environment, where there's the protocols and then there's the complexity. Like, I think that's kind of what this is talking about. But we'll see what we get with tarot. So we're going to get a little bit more about the message overall. Then we're going to have a look at what's really visible and clear in your control and your sort of like line of sight at the moment, and then what is still a bit hidden to be aware of. So a little bit more about what this is about. High Priestess reversed, Nine of Wands reversed. Yeah, there's difficult people around. Judgment, Hanged Man reversed. Wow, yeah, okay, here it is. So this is like your coming out party, and I don't mean that necessarily around preference. So it could be, and you've achieved that and it's been accepted, and that's great if that's the case. Whatever it is, congratulations. But like with High Priestess reversed, it's very practical, this actually. It's not really that much about spirituality. It may be to do with your calling on a more spiritual level, but what's going on right now, this message is very practical, but it's visible. You're more visible in some way, or your achievement makes you more visible, and that does bring with it some tricky energy. So the Nine of Wands reversed, Nine of Wands upright is where we're almost at the finish line. We just get the second win. Nine of Wands reverse is where things are prickly and difficult. Like the energy is a lot more electric and strange. And I think it often is tricky energy with other people. So I do think you being seen more, your achievement, the knowledge that you have in some way, and the way you've expressed that is triggering some people. But it is your calling. So this, you are doing what you're meant to do. You have the world and judgment, like judgment and then the world. It's sort of like this is the natural thing. Like whatever it is that you've achieved or you're about to achieve, because you will achieve it if you're about to achieve it, you're meant to do that. So it's not meant to make you think, should I be doing this? You are meant to do this. But you are a force for change in a rather solidified environment. Let's put it that way. And that's why I think it's kind of like the elegance. Is like there is a kind of rules in this situation in some way. But you are meant to be a force for something new. And it's how you balance that, because it's like, how do you do that without upsetting the apple cart too much? So it is, and then for many of you, this could be around a career thing, because the devil is often big organisations, power and organisations, that kind of thing. But it's something about this environment, or something about what you're doing, has a lot of preset expectations, and you can navigate those very elegantly, and you've been very successful. But now this next step becomes a lot more complicated, and there's a lot more shadow in it. There's a lot more that you have to be aware of, and you do think differently, and that's what is going to make this a renewed and good and healing energy in many ways, but it is also one that becomes quite complex. So it's sort of saying the same thing. It's saying celebrate and joy, and you're doing what you're meant to do, but understand it gets a little bit harder from here. So let's see what's really visible. What's really visible in this situation for you. Eight of Wands reversed, Fool, Page of Cups, Page of Wands reversed. Okay, all right. Yeah, there's a kind of now that you've achieved this, you're going to have to slow down a bit energy to this. Like you've got the Eight of Wands reversed and we've got the Page of Wands reversed, sort of bookmarking this message. And I think it's, it really does. It feels like graduating and then starting a job, or getting promoted, or being in a social group or a political group and having, got a leadership role, and then you've got all these other responsibilities, you worked relatively quickly and relatively creatively, I would say, to get where you've got. But now it's like that has to slow down a bit and it has to be de-emphasized. It does look like you get some form of an offer. So if it hasn't already happened, like if you just graduated, you're going to get offered a job. If you have fallen in love and that's going, you're likely to get offered by your partner to move in or something like that. Like there is an offer associated with this, and you may already know, or it's going to be the thing that triggers, and okay, this is what this message was about. It is a whole new thing. So you're going judgment, world, and then it is a whole new level. It's a whole new thing. And it is sort of saying, think of it that way. It's saying, this is you're ready for this offer, particularly emotionally, because you're at the Page of Cups. So you've gone through the Ace to 10. But the speedy, creative, enthusiastic energy that got you there is not what you need to use now. You need to understand a different terrain. You need to slow down. Like, don't jump off the cliff like the fool. Be sort of a little bit more determined. And it's interesting, in this particular deck, that's how it's portrayed. It's portrayed with a lot more sort of calm calculation in a way. And the dog's not panicking. It's looking in the same direction. So I think this is saying that you have to slow down from the past. Like, it's almost looking back to the Eight of Wands and saying you need to slow down from that and like take this to the next step, what you're doing. But it's not... There isn't as much room for creativity now. You've got to kind of understand your environment, and it's new to you for some reason. So what remains hidden at this point, but if you're kind of aware of it, at least from this reading, would be helpful for you. Magician reverse. Yeah, there's some people aren't that trustworthy around this. Six of Cups. Three of Pentacles. Okay. So this is telling you both what the issue is and also partly what the solution is. The issue is that in this more complex, prickly environment, there are people you can't trust, communication you can't trust, and because it's going to be new to you, it's hard to know what to do. But this is also saying that, and again, I think this is why the Fool is looking back here. There are seeds of what you need to know from the past, like things in your original dream about this, stay true to that. But there's stuff that came from the past that's going to be useful. So again, if you graduated, what you've learned is going to be applicable in some way. It's not everything, and it's in a more complex environment, but it's not like it's lost. So what you've done is not lost. It's meant to take you to this next level. You're also going to find people to collaborate with. So there are people to trust within this environment. There are people that connect to the same sort of like dream that you have. So whatever this is, and if it is a love relationship, then I would say that the actual core of this relationship is a very deep friendship. So it's very solid, but there may be other people around. But that there is more of a sense of good energy than tricky energy. It's just to know that is there. Okay, so I thought like with a message, there's sort of emotional responses we get to a message and that others respond to how we respond. So I just wanted to get, using the emotive expressions deck, looking at your emotion around this once this message sort of like sinks in, or that you kind of get the, oh, aha, that's what this is about. The emotions of others around you in the context of this message, and then the combined emotional energy between you. And like this, if it's challenging, it's just to tell you some of like what you've got to navigate. If it's positive, it'll be people that you can connect with, all of that kind of thing. So we just want to see that kind of thing. Like, what's the context with you and other people emotionally with this message? So for you, okay, you're happy. And like that makes sense. Why would you not be? You've achieved something, you've moved up the ladder, and there's nothing wrong with being happy. You're happy with what's happening overall. What about other people around you? Okay, yeah, they're not so sure. Now, look, they're not necessarily hostile. And this is the thing. I do think that there's people who are competitive. There are people who are like, are you going to do what you're supposed to do at this level? Like, there's definitely a sense, it's a kind of a judgy sense, which I think also comes with judgment there as well around this. It's like the other people associated with this, rightly or wrongly, are very judgmental. And the situation has a lot of rules associated with it. So they're not anti you achieving it. They're waiting to see by the looks of things. So what's the combined energy as you start to navigate this? And some will become your friends and some may not. But like, what's the combined emotional energy? Okay. So there's something tricky. That's the tricky energy. It won't be everybody. It won't be everybody because you are going to be able to find people. But there is somewhere in all of this, some of the people that just appear to be watching you are not happy. And that will potentially make you worry. But I think it's trying to say don't worry too much because there will be people who are there with you. But there's something that becomes frustrating emotionally around this. So let's see chakra energy around that. What is either balanced or needs to be balanced for you to make the best of this situation? With heart energy, heart chakra. I love but lose sense of my personal boundaries. Yeah, overactive. So in your enthusiasm, you may want everybody to be your friend and everybody to celebrate. Some will, but some will not. And that's why it's potentially a bit hurtful. Sorry, I just bashed the camera there. What's either in balance or out of balance overall with the others associated with this? We have the sacral chakra. I feel emotionally open, balanced. So this isn't, like, some of this is not personal. I think this is the thing. It may feel personal to those who feel, oh, they should have got what you got or whatever. Or it could feel personal to you if you feel like not everybody wants to celebrate. But the reality is that everybody in this is sort of open to outcomes. It's just how it plays out. So that's good. That's also why I think there's more people who will be on your side than not. But dealing with this combined energy where sometimes maybe your success and other people's frustrations sort of collide, we have the root chakra. I am stable. Okay, that's good. You will be able to be stable associated with this. You are balanced enough to be able to deal with it. And particularly if you realize this is what's going on. It's not personal in many ways. It's kind of professional or whatever. If this was around a love relationship, then I would say that this is saying that you and your partner's watching to sort of see how the next level is going to be. I think that will work out fine, but there might be others, family members or other people who are interested in your partner who feel left behind, but you feel stable and solid. So I think this is overall saying this is going to work. It's tricky. There is tricky energy, and that's what this message is about. You have to be careful now that this next step is happening, and people will be watching you to see what you do, but you can come through this and you will have more people on your side than not. So that's good to know. Let's have a look at some planetary pairings around each of these emotional responses as well. So a planetary pairing to show your energy as you sort of complete one cycle and move into this new challenge or new opportunity. Chiron and Pluto. Okay, so there's a lot of healing, and it did talk about healing. This change for you in this sort of next cycle is very healing overall. But remember, it sort of said you have to balance between the healing and the more difficult sort of stuff. But you can be a healing energy, actually, even potentially. If you remain stable, if some people in this react more emotionally, you can be a healing energy. The energy of others more generally around this is Mercury and Chiron. So, okay, so it's interesting. There's a healing energy across all of this. I think if you speak the right language with these people, it might be something about, like, the rules might be about how one actually interacts and communicates. That will be healing as well. I'm actually getting, like, it may be actually for some of you, because if it's even more on the healing thing, and this is going to be very specific, so don't take it in unless it fits. But if you have been going through some sort of like counselling or therapy, you're going to have resolved one thing and finished a cycle, but it's then opening up, really looking at and really delving into what you're doing, and that becomes more like your therapist. And this is a release energy that brings stability. So I'm just saying that because it may be that's a very specific thing. It's not going to be for everybody. And so the combined energy is Mars and Saturn. Yeah, like, where are the actions and where are the blocks? Where is power and where isn't it? And your different way of thinking about it in more kind of stabilized systems. Like, that's where the tension is. It's around power, change, action, and what endures. So, and more generally, that's where the healing energy is as well too, being able to act within existing structures in some way, making things more stable. So overall, this is a very positive message. It's actually, really saying that something good is going to happen. It's just saying don't underestimate how complex Sorry, I just bring this around like this. How complex the next stage is. So we're just going to get you a couple of sigils, or if archangels come up in this deck, but not always, but like sigils or archangels to protect you with this message. So firstly, we have the 4 season cycles of life. Well, that makes sense with the world. Contact and communication with earth energy. Okay, so communication with the healing energy. There's definitely something about communication here and understanding the cycles, but it's like coming the harvest, it's like coming out of summer. So there is a degree to which that's maybe the thing to realize, that after summer we have autumn and winter. There's a period that's a little bit more difficult and colder or whatever till you find your way. And overcoming grief. Okay, that's interesting. Moving forward with sadness in your heart. So for some of you, okay, it may be that. Like, as I say, there could have been a therapy or a healing thing more generally. It could be a very literal thing. Otherwise, I think that this is your understanding of like the pattern of this and the nature of this. If you felt grief at some of that like you thought, oh, okay, now I've got this promotion, everything's going to be smooth sailing, and suddenly it's a lot more tricky, you can overcome the grief around realizing it's become more tricky by understanding that it's like every stage will have its own issues. We can't escape that, and then you move towards stability. Okay, so to finish off, I'm going to do what I've been doing sometimes, which is using another tarot deck. And I'm going to pull 5 cards. So I'm going to ask you to think of a number between 1 and 5, and that will bring together a bit more about what this message is for you. So it sort of narrows down what part of the collective or what part of the message we're talking about. So if you haven't already thought of a number between 1 and 5, pause the video because I'm about to deal out. So if you chose number 1, we have 6 of Swords reversed. If you chose number 2, we have the Lovers. If you chose number 3, we have the Magician. If you chose number 4, we have the 7 of Wands. And if you chose number 5, we have the 2 of Pentacles. Okay. So if you chose number 1, this is just simply saying that this is a period of time as you go into this new thing, that there is no natural navigation. And it may not be as peaceful as you would like. It doesn't mean there's actually a problem, but it does mean that this shakes things up, and particularly mentally, like what you think about, what you say, and so forth. And I think it just fits. It's a more complex situation. So it gets a little bit more complex. And I think also when we think of the 6 of Swords reversed, we think of the 5 of Swords before that, you might have thought in completing this you've got past the struggle. But unfortunately it's saying no, it's just a different level, but you are able to do this. If you chose number 2 with the Lovers, this does have something to do with relationships with people. Could be a love relationship going to a new level, or it could be who you choose to connect with is going to be the most important thing here. If you chose number 3 with the Magician, you are more than capable of dealing with this. You have the skills that you need to move on. Communication, it really goes to communication as being the key issue here. And so with other people, you could be accepted as having the skills and the approach that's necessary for this by making sure you speak their language. And I mean that kind of like, obviously, literally, if you're in an environment where there's a dominant language and it's different to yours, you're going to need to talk in their language. But I'm thinking more like figuratively, if you're in a conflict situation, people might be talking about the same thing but using different terminology. So if you use their terminology, you can connect easier with them. If you chose number 4, there's quite a lot of courage associated with this, but you were ready to step up. So the Spirit is just wanting to say, don't be dismayed by this. This is your time to level up. If you chose number 5, you're going to be presented with a material choice fairly early in this. So, and there's nothing to necessarily say that one is better than the other, but understanding the complexity of the environment you're in will help you make the best material choice. So it could be, if you've just graduated, you might be getting 2 different job offers, and understanding as much as you can about the 2 work environments will help you make the right choice. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Judgment from the Violet Dreams Tarot. And Judgment to me always denotes a couple of things. One is potentially the calling, like something to do with a karmic or spiritual calling in your life, something that you're meant to do, someone that you're meant to be with, a karmic or almost destined point, but one that you do have a choice over. You just don't have a lot of time to choose over it. That's the other part of it. Judgment is kind of like the calling that you need to respond to pretty quickly. The example I always use is if you are offered a job, you have a particular period of time to decide whether you want that job or not. If you go past that, chances are they'll offer it to someone else, so the opportunity passes. So I think that there's a time specific or time limited opportunity or calling for you at the moment. May be very spiritual. I think it's very positive though. And maybe the thing is to understand how positive it is. Because when we look at the two cards from the Nightshade Oracle, we have mistletoe that says unexpected blessings, love and fortune find you. So whatever this is, it is a surprise. It is like a clarion call to something good. And it may actually express a dream, because this particular tarot deck, the Violet Dreams deck, has a very fantasy type of vibe to it. So it could be a dream, a very long-held dream, a love, or as I say, fortune, something that you really want to do, something that you've always cherished as a possibility in your life. But there's luck associated with it. And this tilts with mistletoe towards love, I have to say, because we think about the mistletoe at Christmas time and kissing under the mistletoe. But in any case, there is that moment, and you have to grab the moment. If you think about it, it fits with that. It's when the two people are under the mistletoe that moment has to be grabbed. So there is a kind of a time imperative. And then we have Buttercup, which says self-worth and confidence, you shine brighter than you realize. So this could be an offer and an opportunity that comes quite surprisingly, but it's because you've really shone, like for a work situation or a social situation or something like that, like being the chosen one in some way. Or it could be, as I say, love, because you shine so brightly, people are drawn to you. But either way, this is good. Like I would say that this is a message about don't miss this, because it might be a very quick moment. You've got to grab it and see it, and that's why it's important for you to recognize it. So let's have a look. Let's look at a little bit more about what the message is. Then we're going to have a look at what's clear or visible at the moment, and then also what might be hidden still, that if you know about it from this reading, it will help you, I think, grab the opportunity when it is presented to you. So a little bit more about the message. We have the Eight of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Wands, the Devil, and the Empress. Wow, okay, all right. So it's kind of when we get to Pentacles cards coming out and those particular ones, it's most likely, even though I said it could tilt towards love with mistletoe, it's most likely to be around career or opportunities or creativity in some way. When you've got like Page of Pentacles and Page of Wands, your creative passions, your what you would want to do to make money or have material outcomes, and the skills that you have, like that's all very well developed and ready to take to the next level. So I think for many of you it is about that. And it could be within a big organization or like a bigger thing than you expected, where you either can be your own boss, or that you shine very brightly in terms of creativity, abundance, and all those sorts of things. So the reason that it might be like tricky, like to why the Judgment card might be there, and it might be you need to make the decision quickly, is that although this looks very well founded, you might think, oh, this is much bigger than I expected. I don't know if I can do this, but it's saying that you can. So I think for most of you, it's that. But if it's around love, then the focus that you put on that, and the idea about how you want that in terms of passion and materiality in your life, that's coming through because you shine. You might feel either a bit obsessively drawn to somebody, or someone's a bit obsessively drawn to you. But this is positive. So I don't think the Devil is something to be worried about here. I think it's just understanding this is a bigger thing than you had expected. But my guess now is that it's probably more around career, but it could be around love. So let's see what's very visible for you at this point. The Hanged Man reverse is something unexpected. You did not think this. the Eight of Wands, yeah, and it's coming fast. The Two of Wands, and the Five of Chalices. Okay. Part of the reason why this is unexpected is that this is coming fast on the heels of a disappointment by the looks of things. And it gives you a new choice and a new opportunity just when you were feeling disappointed. It gives you a new mountain to climb just when you were feeling disappointed. So it's surprising because, and this might be why you feel like, oh, can I even take this on? Because it feels like, there was some other dream you had and it didn't happen. And so you're sort of thinking, well, God, can I do this? But it's coming in fast because it is a new direction for you. It's so unexpected. Like this is like unexpectedly under the mistletoe, unexpectedly you're shining bright, but something didn't work out. So say it was that, it's looking for your dream job. You might have thought I missed out on it in some situation. And then in fact, another organization comes along that's even bigger and better. And it's like, oh, so that's very surprising. I almost getting for some of you that if it is that, it's coming off, it literally is coming off that. So what I'm sort of thinking is like, you might have, been interviewed for a job and possibly on the panel there was someone who the organisation had brought in from another organisation to be on the panel, and like you didn't get that job, but that person thinks, oh, I want this person in my organisation, and suddenly you're offered a job. Or, the recruiter company puts you through that and then thinks, actually, you'd be even more perfect for this other one because maybe it was very close, and then you get something better. So it feels like something better happens after a disappointment, but it's really unexpected. So let's have a look at what is still hidden, or will be still hidden when the call comes. And if this is about love, if you thought I thought I had my love, I thought I had my soulmate, and it didn't work out, then you're going to meet someone else and it goes very fast and it's very different. But you're much more on the same passionate path. What's still a bit hidden that's worth knowing about? The Star reverse. Yeah, you underestimate yourself. The Seven of Swords. You think it's real. You think you're realistic, but you're underestimating yourself. The Six of Chalices, because you don't want the past to repeat. Okay. Yeah, you've kind of lowered your expectations because something didn't happen. And like we all do that to some degree. But this is why it catches you by surprise. You've lowered them too much. You've said that's what's pragmatic with Seven of Swords reversed, but it's too much and you're going to be surprised because you're going to get some sort of sign with an offer, an invitation, or whatever it is that shifts that. But yeah, it's because you do not want to repeat this past. You're very focused at the moment on the past, and that may be why this message was important, because this is going to come through fast. It's going to be unexpected, and you're going to need to respond to it quickly. And if you're still focused on the past, you might take too long. You might doubt it. So this is saying don't doubt yourself. Understand that you're meant to be the Empress. You're meant to be the star upright. It's that kind of energy, understanding that. So it's a very emotional response to this. And I thought with these messages there would be emotion. So I wanted to use the emotive expressions deck and have a look at your emotion around this message, the emotion of key other people. So if it is a love partner, it's the new love partner coming in. If it's a job offer, it might be the ones who are offering you, or whatever it is. And then a combined energy around this and around your decision. Like, what's the emotional imprint of this? So for you emotionally, okay, I feel like that's a kind of an aha. It's a kind of a longing, but there's also seeing that it's possible. I feel like that person is looking out the window and seeing, oh my goodness, what I'm looking for is coming in my direction. So there's an anticipatory thing. So there is an anticipatory thing, and you are going to see it in time, or it's going to be offered, and you're going to get it. You're going to understand it pretty quickly, which is good. What about the emotional energy from other key people associated with this? They're very warm energy towards you. They really like you. Like this, I feel like if it's a new love, then it's a really lovely new love. And it's the one that you really longed for, but you kind of mistook somebody else for it, but this is going to be the one. But if it's like work or something like that, or socially, it's a very warm energy. What about the combined energy, given the imperative of all of this? Okay, they're just waiting to see, you're waiting to see. But that's the problem, like for you. You can't wait too long. You can't wait too long. But it's still very positive. So I think that What I like actually is I feel like the other people involved will be very confident in what they're offering. So if you're not sure, that will help. But I do feel like that's a kind of anticipatory waiting. I think you have to stay in this moment of knowing, aha, this is the thing. That's the main energy. Let's have a look at the chakra energy around this. So the chakra energy for you, when the calling comes, we have the third eye. I see, but I'm unable to self-reflect. Okay, so I would say right now, given that this is saying something's coming in, I think it's coming in. I don't think it's happened yet, and it'll come in and it'll be quick. Process whatever the disappointment of the past was. Because if you haven't done that, it will be hard to sort of see how you fit into this. But if you've processed that and let it go and believe that something better can come in, then you can move past that. What about the energy of other people? Heart energy. Balanced, I love with compassion. Yeah, the people around this are very positive for you. Like it's a very positive thing. The combined energy, therefore, crown chakra. Okay, underactive. I sense there is no point in anything. Okay, so this is the thing you've got to deal with. So I was saying I was feeling like they're very calm and they know, you're the one they want, you're the in whatever this is. But there's something in the past for you. You've got to clear that energy. Once you've cleared that energy, that is not so waiting. It's much more likely to jump in with what you need, thinking of the judgment card. So let's see some astrology energy around it. So around your emotional response to this, Chiron and Pluto. Got a feeling that came up for one of the other ones around the person. So that's interesting. There's a lot of healing around this and a big change, but there is healing and a big transformation. That's why I think it's like this is being said to you now because it's coming into focus. It's coming into the field. But if you do the work now to clear off the disappointments and to believe in yourself again, then you're ready for this big step. The energy around other people. Jupiter and Uranus. Yeah, that's a very positive change energy for you. They want to, and they're inspired by you and they want you to be inspired, and it's a very benefic energy. So the combined astrology energy around it. Mercury and Mars. Yeah, it's a call to action. A call to action. It's judgment. You're going to get a communication. You're going to, somebody's going to say something, offer something or whatever. And it's very positive. Like this is pretty consistent. It's saying, don't worry about it. It's very, very positive. So let's just get a couple of sigils to be protective or encouraging or to help you also understand anything else you've got to process to make the most of this. Firstly, we have manifestation, turning your thoughts and words into reality. Yeah. Like that's why it's important that you've got to kind of get the negative, oh, it didn't work out, it's not going to work out, energy out, because this then will allow this energy in so that you just go, aha, this is the manifestation. This is what I wanted to call in. And Archangel Raphael, Archangel of Air, speak your truth in a way people will understand. Yes, like be confident in what you say. People will respond well to what you say. To your response, particularly if the response is yes to whatever this is. Raphael is also healing. So it's like, again, like speaking your truth can help heal and clear the energy of what has made you doubt this. Okay. So last but not least, we're going to use another tarot deck, and I'm just going to deal out 5 cards, one for each of 5 different parts of the collective. So the idea is that you choose a number between 1 and 5. If you haven't done that, pause because I'm about to start to deal. But like depending upon what number you choose, I'll tell you what that means in the context of this reading. So as I say, just breaks down the collective a little bit more. So if you chose number 1, we have Ace of Pentacles. If you chose number 2, we have 4 of Cups reversed. If you chose number 3, we have Disconnect, okay? If you chose number 4, we have the Moon. And if you chose number 5, we have Page of Cups reversed. Okay, so if you chose number 1, this is definitely about a job or something material. It's a new offer, a new beginning. And it has a lot, it's a blessing. It has a lot of potential. So this is just doubling down on, if you chose number 1, this is something that has material growth. Now, if it doesn't have to be a job, actually. If it was a love, it's one that actually can materially ground. So if you had a disappointment when something didn't commit, this actually has within its seed the potential of that. So it's a very positive material thing. If you chose number 2, this you've got to get out of this emotional funk because you're kind of in this sort of like blocked energy. So that is kind of clearing out the emotional energy. That's what you need to do. It's going to clear this out too. It's going to be a lot more positive. If you chose number 3, you may have really detached out. So it becomes very surprising if that's the case. I think that the interesting thing is that's okay for you if you are still open to that surprise, and if you use a disconnecting sort of energy to go within yourself and do the healing you need. But if you've used it to disconnect from all possibility, then you might inadvertently shut out the outcomes. So be careful what you disconnect from. If you chose number 4, there's something that is really unexpected about this. It's like a secret or something you didn't know about. And that's going to come to the surface. Or you may feel at first, can I trust this? Now, all the other energies suggest that yes, you can. But again, like working out what would be your non-negotiables around whatever this is important so that you're ready to go forward with using the full light of the moon to illuminate your path. If you chose number 5, then I suspect it is about love. And I suspect this is meant to move you past a broken heart or a disappointment. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to Justice with the Melancholic Muse Tarot. And so that will tell me that this is a message about something that needs to come into balance, potentially. It could be about a legal matter with Justice. It could be literally about a legal matter. Or it could be about fairness, innate fairness, and the proper balance of things in that way. So this has got something to do with something in your life that needs to be balanced, or sort of something won in some sort of legal or kind of disputed sort of situation would be the things in general that it could also be a contract for a job, but I feel like it's more one of the earlier ones, either something that needs to be brought into balance around relationships or connections or work or something like that, or it's around some sort of legal dispute because of the cards from the Nightshade Oracle that came with it, because we have Wisteria, surrender and trust, let things unfold in divine timing. This is a sign that justice will be done. Whatever this is, whatever you need to be brought into balance is going to be brought into balance. But I would say that that's not before a period of contest or contention, because with Holly we have defense and resilience. Your strength will see you through. So I do feel if you are in a battle for fairness, justice and outcome, you are going to get what you want. It is going to come out in your favor, and you need to just surrender and trust on that level. But you also need to be strong, because it's not going to be something that happens simply. Now, if you're literally in a legal case, that would make a lot of sense because nothing in the law goes quickly. But if this is more symbolic of something, whatever is unfair will come into balance, but it could take some time and it may not be easy. So let's see what else we can find out with tarot. We're going to get a little bit more about the message itself. Then we're going to have a look at what's really visible at the moment, and then we'll have a look at what could be still hidden, but if you know about it will be helpful. So a little bit more about what is this injustice, because this is about an injustice being brought to rights. I think that's what this is going to be talking about. We have the Three of Wands reversed, the Ten of Swords, Strength. That's really good to have strength under justice there. The King of Cups, or King of Chalices, and the Three of Cups, or Three of Chalices reversed. Okay. There has been some sort of a split, possibly involving 3 parties when we have both Three of Wands and Three of Cups reversed, or a group or something like that. It could be a team in a workplace, it could be a social group, it could be a political group, it could be any kind of like group, some sort of activity, work or something like that. But it involves I'd say more than 2 people. I'd say this involves more than 2 people, probably around about 3, but possibly more than that. There's a group energy to this, and it's some sort of a breakdown in that. It could be in a workplace, it could be around sort of like really toxic colleagues who are, like kind of forming a clique against you. That's a possibility. Or it could be some sort of, as I say, legal or sort of contested matter that there could have been something that was in harmony and to be celebrated, but it hasn't worked out that way. It's quite dramatic. You'll know if you come to the right reading because you already know what this is. It's quite dramatic. You're in a very strong position though. Right is on your side. And you have a more emotionally mature approach to this. Therefore, you have the resilience to do it. But but it's like keeping your head while everybody around you loses theirs, sort of thing. And there will be, there's sort of like gossipy or nasty sort of elements to this. As I say, it's quite dramatic, but you are in a strong position. So I do think this is, if you that doesn't connect to something, I think you'll know about whatever this is already. Then try one of the other readings, because I think this message is pretty clearly about eventually winning out through strength, resilience, and emotional maturity against a much more immature, scattered situation in whatever way it is. So what is really visible about it? The Fool, the High Priestess reversed, Temperance, wow, it's big, all right. And Ten of Wands, yeah, big and heavy and dramatic. As I say, you'll know this is a dramatic situation. You are definitely the strength and the balancing thing. If it was possible in this situation to right the ship, I mean, the fact that like we've got the old captain as the in this deck, the court cards have occupations, and so the King of Chalices is an old sea captain. If it's possible to right this ship, bring it back into balance in a way that works rather than having to deal with it legally, you are the one to do it. You may even have that sort of role in this. Your role might be that, though I think for most of you it's more likely to be that you are one of the aggrieved parties or contesting parties. But if it's possible, you can do that. A lot has to be brought to the surface, though, for that to happen. This started off, whatever it was, with a lot of like enthusiasm, maybe a little bit naive on your part or others, because that can happen with the Fool. But on the other hand, very positive, very enthusiastic, something new. But but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And it became much bigger and much more dramatic than it needed to be. So there is a possibility of resolution without legal redress or using legal sort of mechanisms like mediation or whatever rather than, you know, some sort of adjudicated outcome. But I do think for many of you, there is using the system in one form or another to resolve this. And more is going to come to the surface. There's hidden stuff associated with this. But it will relieve a burden once you've seen it. But it's big. It's disappointing and it's big. What would naturally remain hidden, but coming to this reading lets you know that's important for this. The Eight of Chalices or Eight of Cups reversed. The Queen of Swords reversed, okay. And the Moon reversed, okay. There is at least one other party coming up like the Queen of Swords reversed here. Very critical, very harsh. Maybe not all that honest. So Queen of Swords reversed is usually not dishonest. She's just critical. There's sort of someone who's has a very harsh view of all of this. I don't think it's the person who's adjudicating. I think it's one of the other parties. They don't let go of this easily. They're not going to let go of this easily. But you're going to find out more and more about them. So it's sort of like this person, through this negative response that they do and the critical stuff that they do, and they're just, like if somebody was trying to mediate it, they would be really picky and really difficult. They're going to kind of out themselves for being the problem associated with this. So this is also why just sort of like stick through it. It's not pleasant. You're likely to have things said to you that aren't very nice or said about you that aren't very nice. But this is because this person just can't let go. But I think they're going to out themselves. So that's good. So this is probably quite emotional, this sort of thing. So let's have a look at emotional energy. I want to use the Emotive Expressions deck. We're going to look at your emotion around it, other people's, which is probably the other parties, and maybe particularly the person that's represented here by the Queen of Swords reversed, and then the combined energies. Just get a bit of sense around the emotion involved in all of this. So for you, okay, you really did I think you really saw a great deal of hope in whatever this was to start with. And you've got a very kind, very gentle energy. And as I say, if anybody could resolve it outside of something more official, you'd be the one. But there is a kind of a wistful, there's a kind of a sadness there. I think you're disappointed more than anything. But you are going to win this. But it's disappointing even had to happen. Other people involved, yeah. There's somebody quite contentious. somebody who doesn't want to let it go, someone who feels like they're the victim. And they're not. They're probably the one who's actually created the problem. Or the problem was going to happen anyway because the idea was great, but it was too much and it wasn't going to work. But whatever it is, there's quite a lot of consternation on their part. What about the combined energy? Okay. You're both looking, or both, or the groups, everybody's looking for what they can get out of this or how they can achieve out of this. But know that is why maybe this is resolvable through, as I say, mediation or discussion, because it is possible, even with this difficult one, though this difficult one is going to be really tricky to deal with, but there is the possibility of like temperance operating rather than justice and bringing things, everybody kind of walks away with something. That's your best case scenario. Otherwise, it's like understanding, like the more that things come out that makes you understand the other parties, the better off you're going to be, because you need to understand what's in it for everybody else. So let's see chakra energy around this. So chakra energy for you. Okay, root chakra. Yeah, underactive, you're fearful, you're worried about what's going to happen, but you don't need to be. So just be strong, be resilient. It's going to go in your direction. What about the chakra energy around the others? Okay, solar plexus. I do get hyperactive. Yeah, there's somebody who's and I think whoever this critical person is, they kind of made this bigger or harder than it needed to be, but they would probably never see that. But as I say, they're going to show that up. That's going to become obvious. So then in the combined energy, where maybe there's an opportunity, if it's going to be resolved without kind of more formal processes, what's the energy operating there? We've got solar plexus again. Balanced, I do have reliability. Okay. I think that one of the reasons this is going to work out for you is that you've done everything you were supposed to do. You are reliable. So if there's, say, a third party that's actually adjudicating or mediating this, they're going to see that. And they're going to see what is your interest and the interests of others. And like they know that you would actually come through with what you were saying, whereas this other person's a bit more hyperbolic. Okay, let's see the astrology energy around it. For you, Moon and Chiron. Yeah, there's an emotional thing here for you. Like you've got to heal your emotions around this because it's a bit hurtful. I think you went into whatever this was with incredibly good intentions and a lot of hope, and this has been a bit disappointing. But also your emotional gentleness is part of what could heal this situation. For the more difficult personal people involved, we have Mercury and Chiron. Yeah, they've got to heal how they communicate. If they don't, they're going to lose out big time. Because as I say, if they get critical and difficult, so if Mercury rules over Chiron, the healing won't occur. If Chiron rules over Mercury, then you could maybe find a midway point where everybody gets what they need. So the energy around the combined is Sun and Uranus. Yeah, there's a lot. It's combustible. This is a combustible situation. There is the possibility of everybody getting, changing, shifting as they need to get what they need for their life path. But I think there's a lot of egos associated with this. But as I say, you're going to win. That was the thing you're meant to know, and so that you're confident. But it's going to be tricky because there's some big egos and kind of harsh sort of ways of communicating associated with this. Okay, let's get you a couple of sigils for protection or extra energy, given that maybe you're going to have to kind of wait this out. Firstly, we have the celestial lotus, angelic portal, invoke the archangels of the zodiac. So it's saying like call on the archangels. They will help you. And Archangel Camael, Archangel of Gevra, disputes and conflicts, strength and battle. Yeah, particularly maybe Camael, who is the Archangel of Gevra. Gevra is about self-discipline, control, doing the right thing, like calling on that and that energy, and it gives you the resilience to deal with this. But like any of the angels, really, this is saying would side with you. You are on the side of the angels, basically, with this. Okay, so how we're going to finish off the reading is that I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 5 because I'm shuffling a second tarot deck here. And I'm just going to deal out 5 cards. And depending upon which number you choose, I'm going to summarize the energy for you as that part of the collective. So if you haven't already chosen a number, please pause and then unpause because I'm about to deal out. Okay, so if you chose number 1, we have 9 of Wands reversed. If If you chose number 2, we have Ace of Cups reversed. If we chose number 3, we have the Eight of Pentacles. If you chose number 4, we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. If we chose number 5, we have the King of Wands. Okay, so if you chose number 1, there may be more than one difficult person, but the real issue for you is going to be the difficult people around this. It's going to be a bit tiring. So I think to the degree that you can just know that's just part and parcel of this and you will come out and you just got to try and ignore it, that would be good because there's really touchy, difficult people around it. If you chose number 2, there is a little bit of healing a broken heart for you. I think that whatever this was, whatever it's about, you really did put your heart and soul into it. And it's not gone forever, but I think you've just got to kind of like let it set aside for the moment until this is sorted out and then work out whether you can revive it in a new form. If you chose number 3, it's really pointing to your skills. You have great skills to deal with this. And in fact, you may learn that you are a natural mediator and a natural negotiator as a result of this. Otherwise, it's saying whatever this was, your skills are still very valid. And this is added to your skills just going through it. So don't see it as a wasted time or a wasted effort. If you chose number 4, this may take a little bit longer than for the other ones here. There's something about timing around this. The time will turn in your favour, but it hasn't done that yet, so be patient. If you chose number 5, you may find that you get a very strong supporter coming through here with the King of Wands. Otherwise, I think this is you coming into your own power and understanding your own power, and that you use power appropriately because it's the King of Wands is upright here. Maybe others within this didn't. So I do know that you're going to come out on top with this. It told us that right from the beginning, but I don't think it's fun while you go through it. So do call on the archangels, and I hope that it all resolves relatively quickly for you. So I hope that resonates. If it does, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.